Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Simple Joy Show. I'm your host, Hayley, and today we're unpacking, quite literally, the packing party method of decluttering. Now, this method was popularised by Nicodemus of the Minimalists. It's unconventional, it's quite daring, but it's potentially transformative. So if you're up for a challenge or you're just curious about this unique approach, you're in the right place. This is The Simple Joy Show, the podcast for people who are ready to declutter and simplify their homes and lives to create more space, time, energy and freedom. I am your host, Hayley Forster, mother, wife and declutter coach, and I'm going to be sharing with you simple bite-sized nuggets to help you on your journey to living a simpler life through the power of decluttering. So if you're ready to choose calm over chaos, then let's dive into today's show. Hello everybody, how are you all? I hope you are doing well. Little personal update from me. So if you're on my email list, you will know that it was my 40th birthday at the weekend. I finally hit the big 40. I'm not actually, there's a few people I know who turned 40 and have been absolutely mortified, but actually I've been fine with it, and it's been quite a sentimental weekend for me, I suppose, because one of the greatest memories of my mum when I was a little girl was being at her 40th birthday party, and all my family was there. Everyone bought some food and there was a big buffet, and there was all the classic disco party tunes and party games, and we just had such a laugh. I was only about 7 at the time, I believe, but I remember all of it, and it was just such a good night because I was so used to, when I was little, which is quite sad, so used to seeing my mum poorly, and that night she was just completely in her element. She was dancing, she was chatting, she was milling around, she was with her loved ones, with her family and her friends, and it was just so nice to see. And I never really had a lot of those times with my mum where we could really just enjoy and have fun and not worry. So it's one of my most precious memories. So me turning 40 was quite nostalgic in a way, because it was taking me back to the time of being with my mum, and I suppose it puts it into perspective, doesn't it, how young she was at the time, even though I didn't think she does, because as a 7-year-old girl, when you look at a 40-year-old, you think, bah, they're old. But yeah, she was still young, she was vibrant, and it was just, yeah, it's been a special weekend. So we went up to Northumberland for the weekend. I couldn't think of anywhere better to spend my 40th than with my family up there. So we went up and we got a little lodge with a hot tub, and we spent the night there, which my children loved, obviously. They were in and out the hot tub the whole time, of course. And it was just so nice to just be in the country of Northumberland. We had a little look around and went and had some lovely food and just spent some time with our lovely family. And it just so happens as well that my husband's sister has the same birthday as me, so we all met up for a big family Sunday lunch, and we were in front of a roaring fire and had a lovely time, and then we headed back home, and I watched Indiana Jones, the new Indiana Jones, which was all right actually. It's never going to be a patch on the originals, let's be honest, but actually I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, it was a lovely birthday weekend, and I'm just so grateful to have the people around me that I do, and I was spoilt with love and abundance. So without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode, and I'm going to be discussing the decluttering method, another decluttering method from the Minimalists, which is called the packing party method, and it's quite an extreme method for decluttering your home. And I'll be honest, it's probably more likely used if you're already planning on moving to a new house, or you're going to be doing some big renovations perhaps, because it does take a ton of preparation and a ton of work, but it actually can be really quite effective. So just imagine you're going to be packing all of your belongings as if you're moving out. So we're talking clothes, kitchenware, decorations, everything, the lot, and it all goes into boxes. And then over the next few weeks or months, I think the time frame that the minimalists give is 3 months. You only take out what you need when you need it. And the idea is that at the end of the experiment, at the end of the 3 months, whatever remains in the boxes is potentially unnecessary clutter and perhaps could be sold or donated. Now, as always, there's pros and cons to each of these methods. So I'll talk through the pros first of all. Now, this method is a real fast track to minimalism. It's an incredibly fast route to discovering actually what you truly need and what you use on a day-to-day basis. And actually it's a real eye-opener, and it just shows you how much stuff you own but you don't actually use, which I'm pretty positive is a lot. And things that are out of sight are generally out of mind, so you likely won't even miss what's in those boxes. Another pro is that it offers an opportunity for a complete reset of your living environment, and that can be particularly appealing if you're craving a drastic change, if you know that you just need to have a complete overhaul, or you're looking for a fresh start. So it's a fantastic method if you already happen to be moving, or you're planning on moving in the next year or so, because you can literally do it as you move home, and as you arrive at your new home, only take the things out of the boxes that you need to use instead of unpacking everything right away. Obviously you would be living out of boxes for a little bit longer than you probably would have hoped, but at least you would know that you're unpacking the right things at the right times. So yeah, it is ideal for major life transformations. So if you're moving, you're remodeling, or you're really just looking to turn over a new leaf and have a complete overhaul, this method actually really acts as a catalyst for those significant life changes, and it pushes you to reevaluate your lifestyle, your possessions. So if you're in that phase of life, then this could be a fantastic method for you to dive into. Now, onto the cons of the pack and party method. So the first one that comes to mind is obviously the practical challenges around it. The logistics of packing everything in your house is really daunting. The thought of we've discussed going back home and moving up to Northumberland again. And the only thing that really is stopping me is the fact that I really can't be asked to go through the process of A, selling my home, but B, also the packing. I don't have a huge amount of things, but once you start that upheaval, it's a big job and it can be really daunting. It requires time, it requires energy, and it requires space as well to store those packed boxes. So for me, this method probably doesn't make a lot of sense to do unless you're already packing for a move, or as I've already said, you're really wanting a massive overhaul, because not only is it going to take a significant amount of your time and your energy and space, there's also the additional cost of purchasing boxes perhaps if you don't already have them, and that can mount up. And I think all of us underestimate how much is stored in our home until we start to pack things away and we realise how much space it takes up. I remember when I moved from Northumberland down to West Yorkshire and I was packing up my pantry, and our pantry wasn't massive, but you could fit a fair amount in, and I remember unpacking it, and I think I got everything in my pantry in 4 massive boxes, and it was just unreal because I just didn't quite grasp how much was in that pantry until I put it in there, and that was 1 cupboard in my kitchen, and it really, really surprised me. So I think we all underestimate how much we've got stored in different locations in our house. So there's a lot of space and there's a lot of money there as well for storage options. Another con is that it can have quite an emotional impact, this method, and it can be quite emotionally taxing, and that's because the sight of your belongings in boxes and living in somewhat of what I would call an unsettled state can be really stressful. I think for someone like me, who I'm a big advocate of having a home that you feel comfortable in, that you feel relaxed in, the thought of living out of boxes for 3 months actually fills me a bit of dread. It's not something that I would feel comfortable and relaxed with. And I worry that I would just be spending most of my time looking for things in boxes and then end up in more of a mess. So it's not suitable for everyone. If you've got a young family, if you've got young children, or you live with others, it can be quite impractical or perhaps even disruptive as well. So you've got to think about how it would work with your routines and how your family members live as well. And then I would say the last con that I can think of is that it doesn't really work well for any seasonal items or items that you might only use a couple of times a year. Some people may class those types of things as clutter, but I don't. There are things in your life that you're not going to use constantly, but actually they are really useful, or you enjoy having them. And obviously, if you're doing a packing party for a period of 3 months, you're not going to capture all of those seasonal items, and you're not going to capture all of those items in your home that you use once in a blue moon but still need. So you would have to think about how to process those separately. And as you're going through the things that are remaining in your boxes at the end of the experiment, you would have to just cast an eye over them and understand that there will be seasonal items in there and other items that you may not have used in that period of time but still need to keep. So there's still an element of processing at the end of it as well. It's not just a case of picking up those boxes and taking them all to the charity shop. So who would benefit from the pack and party method? I think that this method is ideal for those of you who enjoy bold, all-in experiences. So if you're feeling stuck in your decluttering journey, you just don't know where to turn, you need a powerful push, you need a big change, or maybe that just perhaps you're curious about how minimalism might transform your space, your life, the pack and party could be just what you need. Or, as I've already mentioned a couple of times, if you're going to be going through the moving process in the next few months anyway, it could be an ideal opportunity to give this method a go. But just remember, decluttering is a personal journey. So whether you choose the pack and party method or you want to go for a more gradual approach, what matters the most is that you're taking steps towards a lifestyle that brings you joy and simplicity, but doesn't add to that level of stress that you're trying to get away from. If you've ever tried a pack and party or you're planning to, I'd love to hear about your experience. So please share your stories with us, sharing the hashtag #SimpleJoyShow, or pop into my Facebook group, The Simple Living Society. The link is in my bio. But thanks for listening, and remember, every step towards decluttering, no matter how small or how big it is a step towards a more joyful and intentional life. See you next week. Take care. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the Simple Joy Show further, then please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @HelloSimpleJoy. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.